Welcome back. We've made it to day 4, guys. We have today and tomorrow, and then your week is done. You guys have been doing an amazing job. So for day 4, we're going to be looking at understanding equivalent fractions. And our learning target for today is I will understand that fractions can be equal when they have the same amount. So remember, equivalent means equal. If we look at the first part, we have what looks like they're getting ready to spell equal. So equivalent does mean equal. And remember, equivalent fractions are equal when they have the same amount, or they take up the same amount of space. Does not mean the fractions are the same numbers, but they take up the same amount of space. So if we look over here, you see 1/2. Half of this is shaded. And then if you look here for 2/4, we still have that half. They just, now it's just partitioned into 2 more parts or 2 more pieces. Okay? And then also when it's on the number line, they're at the same point on the number line. So 1/2 is right here. 2/4 is directly underneath. So again, just like the other days, I want you to go ahead and read through page 1 and 2, or I'm sorry, 168 and 169 to familiarize yourself with equivalent fractions, because again, this is a review. We have learned this. Pause the video to give yourself some time. Alrighty, so one last thing, just like this page here says, it takes more than one smaller part to equal one bigger part. Remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces, because now we have to cut up more. So as compared here, let's think about this. If it was pizza, would you rather have 1/2 of the pizza or 1/4? I'm pretty sure you want 1/2 because it's a bigger slice. It's 2 pieces as compared to when I have to cut it up for 4 people. Your pieces are going to get smaller. So again, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces. So now let's look at our reflection question. It says, explain why it takes more 1/8 than 1/4 to make a fraction equivalent to 1/2. So if you look here, we have 1/2, and it only takes 2/4 to equal the same amount as 1/2. But here it takes 1, 2, 3, 4/8 to equal the same as 1/2. So I'm going to go back over here. This was number 1. So why does it take more 8s than 4s to equal 1/2? Well, if we remember, like I just said, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces. So if 1/8 is smaller than 1/4, the pieces are smaller, which means we have to use more. So it takes more 1/8 than 1/4 because 1/8 is smaller than 1/4. Period. All done. Let's go on to page 2. Oops, I'm sorry, 3. Alright, so now let's look at some equivalent fractions. It says count the equal parts in each model at the right. Then write the unit fraction that names the part in each section of both models. So let's look. We have 1, 2, 3 equal parts. So if we're looking here, we have 3 equal parts, which means our denominator would be 3. Good job. So 1 equal piece would be how much? 1/3. So you just put a 1/3 in each box. Now if we count this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 equal parts, which means my denominator should be 6. And each part would be 1/6. So you put 1/6 in each box. So it says how many 1/6 does it take to name the same amount as 1/3? So here's 1/3, and if I go straight down, I can see that it takes 1, 2/6 to be the same as this 1/3. So the first part would be, 2/6. Alright, now it says how many 1/6 does it take to name the same as 2 1/3? So I have 1/3, 2/3. So 2 1/3, if I go straight down, that's going to be 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6. It takes 4/6 to be the same as 2 1/3. Number 3, fill in the missing fractions on each number line below. I'm going to have you do this one on your own because we have been working on fractions on a number line, so I think you can do this. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. Alright, so now that your number line is labeled, and we should have 1/3, 2/3, and then 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6. If you didn't have these labeled correctly, go ahead and fix them down. Number 4 says write the fractions the equivalent fractions. So we have number 4, we have 1/3. So if 1/3 is right here, what fraction is right below it? 2/6. So 2/6 is equal to 1/3. Now we have 2/3. So 1/3. Here's our 2/3 because we already have it labeled. And if I go straight down, what fraction is right here? 4/6. And remember, these are equivalent because they are at the same point on the number line. Go ahead and do number 5 on your own. You're going to finish the number line and then tell what the equivalent fractions are for 1/4 and 6/8. Oops, sorry. Alright, so let's talk about it. It says you have used models and number lines to find equivalent fractions. How are the two ways alike? So let's talk about that. How are they alike? So they are alike because, what do you notice when we use the model, which was this, and the number line? Well, I know for me, I noticed that they're showing me that it's taking up the same amount of space. So they are alike because they show the two fractions take up the same amount of space. That was part A. And the second part is, how are they different? Oh, I'm sorry, it says what two ways? It's always good to go back. So what two ways are they alike? So they show they take up the same amount of space. And what else do you notice? They also show, complete sentence. They also show the equal parts of the whole. Alright, so now you're gonna do part B and tell me how two ways they are different. Number 8. Mila thinks 1/2 is equivalent to 2/3 and to 3/6. Label the number lines and use them to explain whether Mila is correct or not. So what I want you to do, because I think you can do this part on your own, label the fractions. So we know this is going to be 1/2. These are your thirds and these are your sixths. So if this is 1/2, she's saying that 2/3 and 3/6 are all equivalent. So 1/2, 2/3, 3/6 are all equal. Remember, we know they're equal if they're on the same point on the number line, okay? So I want you to tell me, is she correct? And then tell me why she's correct or if she's not correct. Number 9. It says 2/3 is shaded on one strip. shade an equivalent amount on the other strip. So if we shade an equal amount, remember it's got to take up the same amount of space. So where would I stop to where it's the same amount? So I have 1, 6, it's not the same, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6. If I look, it stops at the same spot. So I'm going to shade all of this, 4, 6 then. Go ahead and do the same for number 10. Alrighty, let's look. It says use the fraction strips below to show 1/4 and 2/8, or equals 2/8. So I'm simply going to shade in 1/4 and then 2/8. And if you look, they take up the same amount. Now it says Cooper drew the models below. He says they show 2/3 equals 2/6. What did Cooper do wrong? So before you answer that, I want you to look. If you look at the strips here, what do you notice in the strips here? What do you notice about their size? Not the parts, but just the size of the strip. Do you see how they're the same? One's not longer than the other, one's not short. They are the same. And I'm talking about the outside, not the inside. So if we go back, what did Cooper do wrong? Did he draw those strips to be the same size? He didn't. So that's what we're going to put on, for number 12. We're going to put Cooper did not make the strips, the fraction strips, the same size. That's all you need. That's all they asked. What did he do wrong? Cooper did not make the fraction strips the same size. We'll say or length. 13. The number line below is marked to show halves. So you can see that here. 1/2. Draw marks on the number line to show 8s above each mark. You make write the fraction. Okay. So what we're going to have to do is divide this now, or partition this now, into 8 equal parts. So make sure you carefully partition this into those 8 parts, and then you're going to tell me what and label those parts, and then tell me what's equivalent to that 1/2. You may want to do this on a separate sheet of paper first, or even if you have scratch paper, fold one into half, and then fold another paper into 8s, and put them on top of each other to help you kind of label, and then answer this question. And lastly, you're going to do this independently. It says, 4 friends each ate a part of their own granola bar. All the granola bars were the same size. The table at the right shows what part of the granola bar was eaten by each friend. So if you look here, these are your fractions. It says which 2 friends ate the same amount. Circle those 2 names in the table, draw models to show that your answer is correct. So you're going to draw the models for this and then circle the 2 friends that ate the same amount. Then Fred also had a granola bar. He divided it into 4ths. He ate the same amount as Beth. Now you're going to use a number line to show Beth's granola bar. Label it to show the fraction of the bar she ate. Draw another number line to show Fred's granola bar. Mark it to show how Fred divided his granola bar. Label the fraction of his granola bar Fred ate. And then what fraction of his granola bar did Fred eat? So once you finish this, you're going to complete this on your own. Again, remember we're going to read everything, including the examples, go through it all. Here's your constructed response. Read the example, because remember, it does help us, and use it to help you, for you to answer this part. Then you're going to go to I Ready. You're going to do your find equivalent fractions. You don't have to complete all of this today, because tomorrow for day 5, we're going to continue equivalent fractions. Great job today, guys. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.